Welcome to my first recording of Becoming Human. This is about the nature of what it means to be a human being, which I believe we have overcomplicated for any number of reasons. I believe that it's pertinent that the public eye begins to shift into a mindset of possibility. This goes beyond dogma, religion, and is mingled with philosophy and possibility. There is nothing wrong with any belief system that does not cause harm. What I believe is important is we start to realize what it truly means to just be a human being. To realize the analogous facts that we are on a globe, a circle, a sphere. Each point on a circle is powerful because the weight and mass is equally distributed to it, which makes the sphere very strong. When you begin to make these philosophical assertions, as the times of Plato and Socrates and philosophy, we begin to perceive an essence beyond the upbringings that we all went through and the societal teachings. Why is a statement like all men created equal, all of humanity created equal, so powerful? It's something that resonates in each one of us. Why does a piece of music move us? There are many pieces of music that move us in a real manner, bring us to tears, joy, and things like classical music, for example, it doesn't need language. Although there can be some cultural influences, we can still be brought to heightened states of emotion with something as simple as the right song at the right time, something that truly means something to us, as a person. And that has nothing to do with where we're from, although it can, but our upbringing, although it can, but the simple nature of us being alive, of humanity sharing the same biological facilities, the human body, the mind, that our entire species carries with us. And we create differences with ideas, philosophies, cultures, society, upbringing, religion, you name it. But when we focus on division, we become it, because that's the nature of something. When you teach a child to look both ways before they cross the road, it doesn't matter where they're from, if there are cars, because the simple nature of being human means that there are necessities to having a good life, to being safe, to growing, to evolving, to moving forward in our own lives, to understand our own truth, to develop our own philosophy. And one thing we have to be careful with is, we are taught what is true, how to judge, what the facts are, and as we know, it's easy to alter the path and velocity of something as simple as what we would like to consider truth. But we also have to understand that the nature of language is almost opportunistic. So it's easy to take something that isn't necessarily true and view that in a parallel perspective. So, a different pane of glass. If you look at a blue pane of glass, then the results on the other side of that are going to be different from a yellow, from a red, etc. Which colors the nature of our experience and our expectations. And that's why holding the power of truth or fact is a very powerful place to be in. That's why you have media organizations. That's why you have scientific organizations. And we would like to think that certain organizations are beyond fallacy, but the nature of that is unrealistic in that expectation, and yet broadly we share that when we believe that an organization would have our best interest in mind. But I think that most of us can agree, if not all of us, that not every organization has our best interests in mind. It doesn't matter if it's health, finance, religion, career, education. I mean, give it whatever label you desire. But a human being is already at a perceptual deficit to incorporate absolute truth when we are dominated by self-interest in a culture that is evolving externally, not internally. The nature of this dichotomy creates its own friction of division. And there is a purpose to that, because it is through discourse and objection that the friction in a conversation can start fire. Now, when that energy is put to work in a dynamic that is healthy, two parties can walk away from a conversation with the potential of gaining something. But when we have an agenda like an organization does, or a human being does, or a perspective perhaps that is tinged with the desire to go beyond, say, their current station in life. You're moving up in big business. You have a personal agenda, and that business has an agenda. But truth and facts, they shift. Now, certain truths and facts, will remain the same, but there was a time when we could not fly, and that was believed to be the truth, and that was considered to be the fact. But the nature of language is often explicitly derived from our current widely accepted perception. And you can look up the extended definitions of truth and fact, and they create a rift between each other. Because the truth is, we define our reality by facts as we perceive them. And the facts are that as we move forward in our own journey, our truths change. As humanity and technology moves forward, our facts change. And when we alter, the pace of facts that we're going to adapt into an environment, or when we alter truth for the purpose of an organization or some sort of goal that's not necessarily related to truth as a whole, we begin to develop rifts almost in reality, like a psychological hiccup. You just can't breathe quite right when you're, when you have the hiccups, and a spoonful of sugar doesn't always do it. Everybody wants to own the truth. Everybody wants to own the facts, but how can we? I believe what's pertinent is moving forward as a species, not only with open dialogue and open information, but also realizing our potential. We have reached critical mass, especially here in America and globally, where truth and fact have become so jaded and agenda driven that it's almost even hard to find the facts. Then we have to consider our upbringing and what we're taught and the nature of the human mind. Now, because of things like neuroplasticity, which has been around quite some time, that means the mind is malleable. That's how we learn. And things like mirror neurons is learning by seeing. But we have to understand that the truth of how these apply to our biology has many more nuances that even with the current understanding of things go beyond what we're taught as children. They apply to our physiology and our biology and are laden with potential. So, what does epigenetics mean to you and I? What does neuroplasticity mean to you and I, to our lives? What are the power of terms like these? And there are barriers put up for something that already exists, and in a way that is terminology. And yet when you convey things like neuroplasticity, epigenetics, psychoneuroimmunology, you can break down those barriers by opening up a discourse. So neuroplasticity, the brain is malleable. What does that mean? How does it work? Epigenetics, you can alter the regulation of your genes, of your genetic profile. That means you don't have to necessarily inherit the diseases of your family that your genes carry. You activate that. And gentlemen like Bruce Lipton and Joe Dispenza talk about the nature of these things. Psychoneuroimmunology, which is a long word, means that the mind affects the body. So what does that mean? We have to break down these limiting barriers to understand that there is so much more to being a human being, and it applies to every single person born on this planet. The power of our biology and our physiology, but the nature of truth by speaking. The way we have the ability to adapt a word to what we mean and the flexibility with language has created traps, perceptual traps, limiting belief. If your mind can affect your body, what are the limitations of these ideas, and how does that Are these deep embedded truths they are only limiting us because we do not know they exist. How do you chain a God? Now, is a human being a God? Well, how do you define that? Are we the creator of everything? No. What is it? God with a little g? You have to manipulate the mind. We all know what the placebo effect is. We can heal our bodies with thought alone. That's psychoneuroimmunology, the power of belief. Individuals with faith have been shown to have a higher pain threshold. People have superhuman feats of strength. And there are databases with this information on it. Was it 2 children lift a tractor off their father? The mother rips the car door off to save the baby, from the car accident. I mean, we hear these stories. And of course, some of them are exaggerated. But there's others that are well documented. Sham surgeries, I believe for the meniscus and other aspects of the knee, were shown to have just as good effect or a better effect than the actual surgery itself. The documentation, it runs deep, but it's not widely spoken about. So, did you and I create the universe? I don't think so. But we're a part of that creation. And you may have your own beliefs, but in the Bible it says, in the beginning there was the Word of God. We are all connected. Bohr called it quantum entanglement. Einstein called it spooky action at a distance. And there have been experiments done on this to show that you can separate a particle, which is going to be a very brief explanation just for the point, and you send them in 2 different directions. And when you shift one, the other shifts immediately. This is happening faster than the speed of light. It also shows that even though you created that division, they're still intimately connected. This goes into also the Big Bang, when all matter, was the size of your pinky nail. Everything was connected. Each and every human being is connected. And you can philosophically reach, but the universe as we know it is intimately connected. And I think many of us have experienced, the vibe. You go to a party, it feels good, you stay there, you hang out, you have a great time, bar, good environment. You go somewhere else. Maybe, your buddies are enjoying it, but you're like, I'm not feeling it. Y'all go to another party, everybody's having a great time, having some drinks, enjoying conversations. That feeling is there for reasons that go beyond the fact that they aren't just something that we've had occasional conversations about, that there are underlying mechanisms that allow these governing factors in our universe to operate. We want to take existence and peel it into boxes. This is truth, and this is fact, and this is quantum physics, this is classical mechanics, this is biology, this is, just you name it. But gravity applies to all things, both the large and the small, the micro and the macro. Everything is connected because everything is from the same source, which is creation. And if we want to look at this solely in the aspect, of the material, the atom without spirit, and I am a spiritual person, although you do not have to be. The nature of matter is defined by what we would call the atom, replicated over and over and over again, expressing itself to different stimulus. And as it adapts to that environment, it changes. It becomes. And we have to understand that as we move forward in these perceptions, there are greater truths, and no one, no organization, no religion, nobody can own them, because they were here before even human thought was. Think about that. Was love here before the human mind? Well, you can speculate about that. What is the grace that an atomic structure works with every element to destroy or create? And in that destruction is creation. Was emotion here before a human being was? How would it be possible if it wasn't? And we can speculate these things. The nature of creation. We're not the oldest planet in the galaxy, or the only galaxy, or the only solar system. We look out and we see the Milky Way. We look out and we see stars and galaxies. Many things existed before us. And we can't even get over our own differences to even understand our own possibility beyond our perceived limitations, to lift the veil to understand that there is more. This is done to manipulate us, to create division, to disempower humanity. Divide and conquer is a saying for a reason. But what I would like to do is to perhaps give a few of us a few more reasons to look at one another and see beyond our differences, and realize that we are all sharing this human experience. We are all in a state of becoming and growth. Some less, some more, all different, all the same. Because each of us will take our own path, our own hero's journey. But first we have to see it. We have to know it. We have to understand that there are things beyond, far beyond, our current objective perceptions. We are born free. We do not have to surrender our will to a system governed by those who would abuse it. We are more than a job. We are more than our wealth. We are more than poverty. We are more than our dwelling. We are more. And it doesn't matter what religion you are, where you come from, what you look like, what you believe in, because there are truths that cannot be owned. You cannot hold dominion over the laws of nature. And we try, and we use them, and they are tools of expression, but we do not own them. We do not create them. Science and scientists are pioneers, and a good scientist will tell you that we are always on the path of discovery, uncovering the mysteries of facts that are already present. The holy grail of physics is combining the large and the small, classical mechanics and quantum physics, but they are already connected. We endeavor to uncover the nuances of nature so we may be blessed with the splendor of harnessing these objective elements of creation so we might be able to enhance our experience, our understanding, our knowledge, our philosophies, our wisdom. And yet, what is evolution without wisdom? These are the things that we must consider. These are the things that we must grow from and grow beyond. Not to see how we might divisively disconnect ourselves from one another, but the intimate necessity of having each other. That doesn't mean we have to like everyone. I know I sure don't. That doesn't mean you have to like what I'm saying. Many of you won't. But this is for those of you that do. To speak of science, philosophy, metaphysics, spirituality, quantum physics, biology, neurology, the nature of this human experience goes beyond objectively and widely what we experience. Have a family, raise your children, grow up, learn shit, go to school, get a job, be told what to do, get your retirement, see your grandchildren and die. And these are beautiful things. Beautiful. But when you sit down with someone you love and you have a conversation with them, a real one, I think we all understand that life goes so much farther beyond these everyday, ordinary things. And that's what's real. All of this is a construct. Beautiful, wonderful things. Music, everything has much more meaning to it, but we must choose to know that it's even there and understand what possibility actually is by realizing we must always redefine what reality is, because it is through this self-analyzation, this introspection, that we even have the ability to move beyond what we would even thought possible in our wildest dreams. Until next time.